Here are some highlights of this program.
Hello everybody.
Welcome to Brainstorm exclusive interview.
Our education should be corrected, adapted, and updated.
Live better, they can send their children to school because they can interact with their authorities.
Mechanics, electricity, computer science, innovation,
And we know that is a brainstorm.
Yourself, after watching this interesting program, notice the final statement made by our notable guest, a brand new one. Hello everybody and welcome to Brainstorm Broadcast. Rule of law and justice go hand in hand in any given democratic states. So citizens want to benefit and enjoy fair justice for everybody. So today's theme is rule of law and justice for all. We know that in different states, people claim rule of law, human rights, because of a breach of laws. There are also some people who break law, and even rulers, political rulers, of course, they don't abide by regulation, even constitution. On today's show, we're going to address the issue rule of law and justice for all. Joining me now on this stage is Rodrigue Bonsole, who is a lawmaker. Rodrigue Bonsole, hello and welcome to this program.
Hello, my brother Guy. How are you?
Yeah, I know that you are the one who handle very well most of the topics we break down here on this stage. And today you have the privilege to discuss this relevant issue, rule of law and justice for all. It's true that you've been running for the House of Representatives, and today you are one of the political party members. We're going to discuss this issue with you. So as a politician, so to say, what is your understanding whenever you hear the concept rule of law?
First of all, I want to congratulate you for the privilege that you've given to me today. And as the 30th June, we celebrate the Independence Day. And I'm very happy to be here once again. I wanted to give a small definition for the rule of law. As you can read, and according to the Oxford Dictionary, it's the restriction of the arbitrary exercise of power by subordinating it to well-defined and established laws. We have the term rule of law means that everybody, no matter how powerful or ordinary, everybody is equal to the law. Being a politician, lawmaker, big man, poor, everybody is equal to the law. It means in developed country, for example, you have to call the law to be put in action so that everybody can come up with solutions. When we have problems, we may solve the problems through the laws.
Okay, in the rule of law, we see the Constitution, we see a body of legislations, and there are many things that are included in that concept. So before we move further to this talk show, we want ladies and gentlemen to pay attention to this following video that defines what the rule of law is. Please take a look at this and we're back.
Rule of law, it means that we're all equal in front of the law.
When everybody is free to say what they want. Justice?
Rule of law is holding people accountable to the law.
The law must emanate from the people. Look, the law lives in the consciousness of the people. If you don't have that, you don't have law.
In countries where the rule of law is absent, ordinary people do not have access to the justice system. Imagine you're walking down the street and you're suddenly approached by plainclothes police officers from a secret security agency. You're taken to a prison, you're tortured, you're abused, you're held without any legal grounds, and you have just simply disappeared.
The rule of law emanates from the people of a nation. Yet there are countries where the rule of law is not a common practice.
Without the rule of law, you have a nation where its citizens' fundamental rights and well-being are not protected.
The United States Institute of Peace believes that rule of law is the lifeblood of a society.
One example of how we bring in voices of the people into the process is through justice and security dialogue, where we bring citizens, government, police, and others together to build trust, identify the rule of law challenges, and come up together with joint solutions and strategies.
The rule of law is more than about one person, or even groups of people. The rule of law is a process, but once constructed, can be enduring.
What we're seeing in the world is people's demand for a voice in decisions that affect their lives. For a society that provides justice, security, and accountability for everyone. In other words, a society that abides by the rule of law.
So now, since we want to focus on the rule of law, why is it important for us to discuss this topic?
It is very important to discuss today's topic because within the Congo, we're having a kind of people are neglecting too much the importance of the law. For example, I went to the court last week. I read, as I attend in a process where people were kind of being sued themselves. I heard the lawyers telling to the a person that you have to abide by the law. But we were astonished to see that everybody is not, aware of the law, which is promoted by a country. It is very important to emphasize the importance of the law from the background of the children up to the upper level, because if everybody is taught on how to obey to a law, they will come up, to develop a country. Because Bible itself says that a good justice raises up a nations. If we don't have good justice in a country, we will not have a good law here. So it means that we have to emphasize that education from the background until the upper level, so we can come up well.
Okay, it seems that a lot of people, especially in the context of the Democratic Republic of Congo, are not really comfortable living or complying with law. And some of them claim to be back in a former regime, dictatorship. And you think that the rule of law fits best in which regime? Dictatorship, rule of law, or democracy? Which regime fits better with this concept of rule of law?
The concept rule of law is fit in every regime, dictatorship and democratic regime. I have watched it on TV in North Korea, where you have seen the dictator Kim Jong-un, giving to his populations the role how to obey by the law. And it means that if you make what we call infraction in French, if you make an infraction in French, you will be caught by the law and put in jail. In Congo, for example, we have the democratic regime. People are very, they feel like free to do anything they want. They don't even care about respecting the people. They don't even care about reading even the dictionaries. They don't even care about to read what does the law means for a country. So it is very important to speak to everybody that you have to go on deeper and dig deeper to know what means the law of your country, so it will help you to come in the future well.
But you just come to a quote, North Korea, where the ruler sometimes is a dictator, then referring to the law to implement its policy. But that's one of the developed countries. Coming back to African countries, for instance, namely DRC, which is part of a third world country. You think that the rule of law really is good just for citizens?
It is just, Mr. Guy, as I said before here, a matter of education. We had Mobutu, at this time, after the Belgian colonized Congo, people were afraid of committing, what we call crime. People were afraid because they knew that if you do this, you will be caught up, and they will get you and put you in jail. Why don't we have the same rule of law here today? Why? Because people are not educated. We have to educate them that you don't have to do this. You have to go on by obeying the laws of the country, so that in the future you may become what we call someone which is important.
Yes, we know that a lot of people, especially African, when copying the Western world with the democratic regime and accepted the rule of law, which could promote development, and so we want to watch to what extent does this kind of regime, which implies the rule of law, promote prosperity. Please take a look at this video, and we'll be back.
The term rule of law is often used in political and economic contexts, but seldom explained. The rule of law is another way of saying that laws, as they are written, are applied equally to everyone. If you break a law, it doesn't matter how wealthy, connected, or powerful you are, you face the consequences. When followed, the rule of law leads to a more just and prosperous society. Civil disputes are more likely to be resolved peacefully. And in business, people are more willing to enter into contracts if they have a high degree of confidence that those contracts will be honored, or that they will be compensated appropriately if they're broken. The rule of law in politics can be seen around the world where there are peaceful transitions of power following elections. It even governs behavior between countries as well, as in the case of World Trade Organization disputes or mutually agreed upon free trade agreements. And while it can be tempting to bend the rule of law in specific instances that seem especially unjust, the benefits to society are maximized when we follow the law as it is written.
Now, let's now try to see, I wanted to make things clear. Whenever you refer to rule of law, is it a legal matter or a mindset problem?
Here in Africa, it is a kind of a mindset problem. We are very focused in doing things which are not important. For example, when you go to school, you have first of all to focus your mind by following what teachers does or what it does teach you. But if you go to the universities, you will find people are out. They don't care even of following the courses. When you read the book, you have to emphasize much more about the content of what it is written in the book. But if you see the people, they read the books, for example, they don't care about what is written. They just have to read it like a kind of newspaper. Or, whereas, they would even go deeper and understand what is written there and to apply. Because a country without law, it is a country which is broken down. A country without law, it is like a sheep who is going just straight away himself without following the road. The law, Mr. Guy, as I said to you, it is like a road. We have to follow the road and go to the good city.
Coming back to education, I want to remind you, I think several years ago in this country, new citizenship, education, including mindset change, has been adopted. So far, we don't see a good, positive, background or feedback. So you think we can still, or even Congolese citizens still can hope that with the good mindset change, rule of law could be possible?
That's definitely fine and well. With the nice mindset, we have a kind of churches, for example, they used to teach or to preach to people. They have to preach much more about the rule of law. I'm very happy and very glad to follow preachers like pastors going to church and reading Bible, pastors in the conferences, in congregations that just read the Bible, and they teach people what does Jesus Christ say to the Bible. I want even to like more that they may teach even what does the law of the Congo means and what is the benefit of the law. Because we have to follow and to obey every single law which is put in the Congo, because this is the mother country.
Yes, 15 years ago,
Yeah.
since, let's say it's 15 years already,
Yeah.
passed since, 1990, since the Democratic Republic of Congo, back former Zaire, has adopted democratization process, and so far, we've been complaining that, Congolese democracy is still young. Congolese democracy is still young. 15 years ago, can you really make a kind of assessment? Where are we now? Is there a positive change? Are there some advancements after adopting democratic process?
Very nice question, Guy. The Bible itself says that you have to teach to your child when he is still young. Because if he grows up, he will follow what you taught him when he was young. 15 years ago, as you mentioned here, we had a law which was a kind of new to the people of the Congo, or Zaire. The Zaire, it is a country that I know was ruled as a dictatorship country ruled by Mobutu. And it has all of its several systems, to educate the people to go on by following the Zaire of Mobutu. But after the departure of Mobutu, we had troubles. The people, were not focused on following which the law means. We have the change of the regime. We have people, were kind of, kicking up what they followed before. And the children of the day, they even don't care about what the former regime taught them, and they want to follow what is called today like kilelo in the lingala of the people. Reason why you say there is a big change and a big scale of change. And you may follow, say, the education of a person who were born in Mobutu time. He was very respectful, but nowadays children, they don't care about the role of law. They don't care about what does the law means. So it is important to teach them from the kindergarten, elementary school, higher school, up to the university, so they may come up well.
So if it is to sum up, I imagine, so from your statements, there is some, what we can call a takeaway. It means that both rulers and the citizens or subjects have to apply the rule of law to make it effective.
Both of them, yeah.
The following video is focusing on working for justice, both administrative and also people. How can each one play the key role to make it possible? Please take a look at this following video, and we'll be back.
My name is Aaron, and I am the Executive Advisor to the Chief Operating Officer. So working at the Ministry of Justice is it's a great place to work. There are so many different opportunities and avenues that one can pursue in the ministry.
What I really like about working at the Ministry of Justice is the fact of having so much variety. So there are so many different departments of the ministry, and you get to interact with all of them in the role that I'm in. So one day you could be talking to people who are from corporate, and the next day you could be talking to someone who's from the courts. It just keeps things really interesting.
I work in an operations support team, and that operations support team is kind of the backroom engine, and so we're supporting the frontline people. They're able to do their jobs because we're behind the scenes making sure that the things like their knowledge base is up to date and working so that they can access the information they need.
The Ministry of Justice is an excellent place to work because there is a lot of variation to the work that one can do. There are a lot of opportunities that one can pursue as well.
I like that it's got a collaborative feel to it. I see people meeting together quite a bit and just hashing things out, and people are rather helpful and supportive, and I think approachable as well.
One of the great things to me about working at the Ministry of Justice is the interaction that I get with so many different kinds of people. I mean, in the morning you could be talking to the Chief Executive, and then in the afternoon you could be talking to a court registry officer in Timaru.
Particularly being in HR, we are a lot involved in the culture of the ministry, so making this place a great place to work. So I feel like I do contribute a lot to that, supporting my manager and also being involved in mini projects here and there. So it keeps things very interesting, and also you're able to get exposure to all different types of areas.
The Ministry of Justice is a good place to work in that I I feel valued as an individual, and my contribution is valued by my manager and my team.
The main challenge that I have in my role is dealing with the sheer complexity of the Ministry of Justice and all of the things that it touches on. I mean, you can be dealing with family violence matter, and then you can delve right into deep constitutional matters.
Working here, I think, is a great experience, and it's because of the people. So obviously my role was very people focused. I have to deal with many different people on any given day, and I think it's kind of more like a family environment around here.
The main reason why I like working for the Ministry of Justice is that you don't just feel like another cog in a bureaucratic machine, you actually feel like your contribution is making a wider contribution to New Zealand.
Now, let me come back to what people commonly say: nobody is above the law.
Yeah.
Can this statement be made here in the DRC?
Yeah, this statement is very fine in DRC, but it is not applied totally. You may go on and see the law, it is applied differently from the poor people to the rich people, the politicians to the lawyers, to the president himself, to the judges. It is very different from them, to follow or to apply the law in some way. This is something which is very bad. So they have to change. If you want to go up with good education, to have good mentality, to have good mindset, you have to respect the law equally, because nobody is above the law.
All right, respect the law equally, nobody is above the law. So that is to say, but the reality on the ground is just the opposite. But now,
the implementation
is, I think, all right? So, with the sad consequences. Now, the video we're going to just take a look or watch focuses on crumbles when the rule of law breaks down. Please pay close attention to this video, and we're back.
When rule of law breaks down, society crumbles. In 2008, the United Nations Development Programme redoubled its efforts to help over 40 crisis-affected countries strengthen the rule of law. In 2013, its efforts supported national partners to joining forces with DPKO, the two provided critical assistance to member states through the global focal point for the rule of law in post-conflict and other crisis situations, strengthening much has been done. Through the global programme and the global focal point, UNDP will continue to support national efforts to foster peace and sustainable development through the rule of law.
All right, now let's now come to the main documents in which I can say the embodiment even of laws, regulations, or is contained, and which is applied by lawmakers. I mean the Constitution. You think that with the change of Constitution, is it possible for especially Congolese citizens to change the mindset or to apply the rule of law in this country?
I want to mention something very clear, Mr. Guy. You have to know that. You have to understand that we might change 5 constitutions, 100 constitutions, but if yourself you don't want to apply that laws in your lifetime, nobody is going to apply for you that. So the Constitution may or not be changed. You have first of all to teach yourself on how to obey to the laws of your country. We may change it tomorrow, but if you don't apply, this is not fine. So we have to teach people from the kindergarten to the higher school that they have to obey to the laws of the Congo, because this is the motherland, mother country that God has given to everybody here.
So you think, honestly speaking, that in Congo, judicial system must undergo change? If the answer is yes, why?
The judicial system have to be changed because, Mr. Guy, I said to you that we don't have to see much more about money. We have to see much more about the education of the people. People have to be taught, as I said before here, people have to understand that a law is a pillar of a country. We have to go on by following the law. It is like in the Bible. We have the Bible. Bible is the law for every believer. And in the Congo, we have the Constitution, which is the book given to the people, to follow a system which is fine for you.
All right, for 30 seconds, the last very final question. What kind of a suggestion can you come up with as far as rule of law and justice for all is concerned?
They have to change the mentality, what I often say before here. They have to teach the people from the lower school to the upper school. They have to apply it, which is very important to apply. The president, the judges, lawyer, everybody has to apply, has to respect, to obey the law. Because if you obey the law, this is going to be fine for you.
Thank you so much, Rodrigue Bonsole, for coming to this talk show.
Thank you, Mr. Guy. I want to congratulate Reverend T.J. Thomas Jackson for the privilege, and everybody, thank you so much.
Yes, we had a great conversation with Rodrigue Bonsole here on the stage. It was a wonderful rule of law and justice for all. This is not only possible overseas, but even here in the DRC, or Democratic Republic of Congo. Thank you so much for watching. We hope that in the next days ahead, you be stay tuned on the second national channel, RTC2, development for other issues. Thank you so much one more time for watching, and
Thank
bye.
you.
Here are some highlights of this program.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to Brainstorm exclusive interview.
Our education should be corrected, adapted, and updated.
Live better, they can send their children to school because they can interact with their authorities.
Mechanics, electricity, computer science, innovation, yeah.
And we know that it's a brainstorm.
You yourself, after watching this interesting program, notice the final statement made by our notable guest, a brand new one.